Knees and toes.
Does shoulders have to do with anything?
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Friday, November 28th, 2025, our first Friday episode of the year. As always, I am PK alongside my sign-waving co-host, Phil. Episode 391. It's all Bandits, all episode to preview the opening of the NLL season, the opening of the third straight title defense. It's going to be a very interesting episode. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Starting to get a little bit more busy over there, and look for breakdowns in the description of the show. We'll break it down in 3 different categories. We're going to be talking about there was a bit of a trade that broke on Wednesday. Just a little bit, a little guy. We'll go over the roster a little bit more now that it's finalized, because when we recorded on Sunday night for the Monday episode, it was not finalized yet. And then we'll preview Bandits versus Swarm. Don't forget that we interviewed Steve Bermel on Tuesday, previewing the entire Bandits upcoming season. Nick Kloss came on Wednesday to preview the Bandits versus Swarm. The NLL Pick'em and my power rankings were out on Thursday as we're recording at 11:30 in the morning. I haven't posted them yet, but they're coming. Some interesting results, to say the least. San Diego outpaced Ottawa. Or is it Ottawa? Yeah, I think they're playing Ottawa, if I remember correctly, by 1 vote. 1 vote. I had talked to Brooke like maybe 2 hours before the polls closed. I was like, I don't know what to do if there's a tie. I never envisioned that there would be a tie. But thank you for everybody that participated. Way more votes than we thought were going to come in, especially for the first one. Hopefully it continues to grow. But since we're not doing Bandits fantasy game, we wanted to include the
Thanks
the
a lot,
listeners.
NLL.
Yeah, stupid NLL for scheduling the Bandits week 1.
And the rosters days before.
Yeah. Why couldn't you do that a little bit earlier? But it was just too roster crunched, literally, this early in the season. So we can't bring it back, but NLL Pick'em is there. Instagram's going to run from Tuesday to Wednesday. Since it's 24 hours, it's going to be on our story. Very easy. Just pick who you want to win. And then Twitter/X is going to run from Monday to Wednesday when we close them Wednesday night, so we have time to make the graphic. But make sure you vote. Phil, little something went down on Wednesday. Little bit of news. Felt like it was back to pre-COVID days. This guy named Mitch de Snoo. I don't know if you've heard of him. I've maybe. I have heard Dr. de Snoo before, but
yes. I don't know who Mitch is.
Fair. He's back in Buffalo. Buffalo traded a conditional first in 2026 and a conditional second in 2028 to Philly for Mitch de Snoo, former, defender of the year. The conditions are, per Mike at Daily Dive, the 2026 pick will be the higher of the 2 compensation picks for losing Frazier and Kluch. So pretty much you lose both of those. They're giving you compensation first-round picks at the end of the first round. Philly's getting sent the higher of the 2. And then 2028 pick can become a 2027 second if Buffalo acquires another 2026 second. So Dietrich got a little bit creative, but yeah, it's another mastery class in GMing from a guy who's playing chess while the rest of the league is playing checkers. Mitch de Snoo pretty much dropped his appeal or arbitration, one of the two,
Yes,
for arbitration. Thank you for his franchise tag. And that all transpired really quick. I don't even know if Toronto was able to make an offer or if Buffalo just beat them out. But why teams, and I'm going to say this really quietly, why teams still pick up the phone when Steve Dietrich's number pops up is beyond me. He never loses a deal. It's insane. Like, the biggest loss he made in a deal was the former Mitch de Snoo one, because you knew Mitch de Snoo could only go to Toronto. That was his only loss in recent history. All the other moves helped him get to the championship and the last 3 years win it. It's absolutely insane that you also moved, and I understand that Mitch de Snoo could only go to certain places due to work obligations. But the fact he didn't even have to move his own first, which is going to be the higher of them, is insane. Like, I know I'm going to let you take this away because you've been hammering the Mitch de Snoo train for the longest time. And I kept saying, like, everything I'm hearing and everything apparently everybody else is hearing, all the rumors out there, it says Toronto where he's holding out. And didn't come to fruition. But, man, it's insane that they were able to pull this move off to the weakest, like on the last episode we were talking, the weakest position they have going into the season was lefty D because of the depth. It's shored up now. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, just dropping back to the summer to pat myself on the back that, I mean, we thought this would never, ever happen, first off, so this is not an expert take by any means, but July 23rd episode, we were going over defensive free agents, and I was like, well, this news coming to Buffalo. Didn't expect it to happen, but that was my prediction. And then August 10th episode, we did one trade and one signing, and 53 minutes into that episode, I went on a long rant about
Phil's
getting
got
de
the
Snoo
receipts
to this team. I do. I just found them. And yeah, that one is pretty much what I was going to say here, is like going into this season without de Snoo on the team, and he was really the only one I thought could, like, as far as one player goes, to change an entire makeup of a team. Obviously, he's one of them that can do that. Like, Matt Vince on this team coming back, massive. And then outside of that, to me, the offense can only do so much, but the defense needed somebody like a de Snoo to keep up with the Vancouvers, the Saskatchewan Rushes. Like, all these teams have done so much in the offseason to try to catch Buffalo, and headed into this, before this trade, I was worried. And it's not that I was worried that this team was going to be bad. They're still going to be a top team even without de Snoo. They'll figure it out. They have Vince, they have Smith, they have Byrne, they have a solid defense. Like, the pieces are there to be good, but can this team keep up with what Vancouver was able to do and how hot that team is? Toronto is making a ton of moves and has their rookie offense coming in. They look scary. The Rush are running it back, but that's another year into their system. They look scary. Like, all these teams did so much to catch up to Buffalo, and Buffalo was kind of sitting there. If anything, they lost players. They lost Kluch, they lost Fraser, and yes, they did some things to get those points back, but then you lost Martin, and we just talked about how massive of a loss Martin is to this defense, and this whole time it was, can you find a way to get a player like de Snoo, and specifically him, on this team to keep up with these other teams and what they've been able to do? And last year, de Snoo led the league in caused turnovers. He was 6th in block shots and I think 2nd in loose balls. So you added, a top 3 defender to this team with this move. It's just, like, this is the move they needed to make in order to stay ahead. Without this, yes, they'd still be good. They'd still be a very top team. And yes, they have any chance in the world of winning the title. Like, you have the pieces still without him to win it. But this pushes you back, in my opinion, to arguably being the number 1 team in the league again, because you shored up that left defensive side, that huge hole that you and I just talked about with Martin leaving. I think de Snoo pushes that right back up to the top. And also, I mean, he's going to add things that this defense really isn't known for. Like, his loose balls are just through the roof, and that's something that this team struggles with at time. His transition game is pretty solid, and that's something that the team, now that McKay's on offense, has struggled at times. The block shots are up there in the league, and that's just something this team excels at. Like, everything he brings, obviously being one of the best players, but he isn't just a lockdown defender like Martin was. Like, he brings the entire package to this team and just raises this defense that much higher. And then at the same time, what we've talked about with a lot of other teams is de Snoo has the ability to push all the other defenders down now. So he's going to be the top of the left D, so that puts Wires on, a guy lower. Put Belter on a guy lower, because he'll probably take the higher of those players on the offensive side for the other team. So it bumps everybody else back down the line, and that's where those players can excel. So this team just got, I don't know, it's a wild, wild trade. And I was freaking out. I don't know what you were doing, because you're usually on top of it, but we got the break, and just kind of just freaking out that it even happened, because like you said, everything said that he was going to Toronto. Like, literally everything out there was, yes, he has to go up here for work, but 99% chance he's going back to Toronto. And even though that was a bummer, I accepted it and I moved on. I was like, all right, he's going back. This team needs to do something, but they'll figure it out throughout the season. And then we got the news, and it's just like, oh my goodness. And like you said, I saw a few comments that were, yelling at Philly for exactly kind of what you said. Like, okay, well, thanks for handing Buffalo a championship. Thanks a lot, Philly. You could have just given him to someone else. But yeah, he is just an absolute game changer for this team.
Yeah, the DMs were getting filled, and I didn't have my phone on me. And then I saw your message first, and it just said, holy bleep. And I knew what that meant. I was like, there's no way. This is bad information. Then he sent me the screenshot. I was like, okay, it's happening. Okay, compose, figure out what I've been missing here. Because I got home from work, and I was just hanging out with the dogs and talking to Brooke. And my phone was, like, upside down, clearly, because I'm trying to get better at that. Brooks called me out multiple times where I'm like in a conversation, but I can't multitask. So like I'm dealing with stuff on the phone because the NL season's coming up. And she goes, "You really got to like focus." So I've been flipping my phone over, so I'm not even. So when we got done and I flipped it over and I just saw like the holy bleep, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is why my phone's never flipped over." So we'll go from there. But for everybody that's been saying, and I've been seeing it multiple times now, and I think it's due to Buffalo winning 3 straight and making it to 5 finals that they've gotten a lot more fans lately, but I feel like a lot more of those fans are just Buffalo Bandits fans that don't know the rest of the league. We should start listening to our show. We talk about the whole league. Either way, I saw a bunch of comments just going like, man, that's a big pay for Mitch de Snoo. And then somebody asked us, like, in terms of NHL or NFL, what is this, like, how do you compare it? And the only comparison I could really come up with, because it's like a defensive player, but I went, this is the equivalent of Buffalo Bills trading for Micah Parsons and only giving up a few picks.
Right.
Like, to me, that's the equivalent of Buffalo needs a defensive lineman. Buffalo needed a defenseman. Match those two up. One of the better ones in the league is Micah Parsons. That was the biggest, because I wasn't going to go offense because it's not offense. Like
right.
I was trying to find a good comparison. I couldn't find a good comparison for the defense in hockey.
I mean, the easiest way for me to ever do this is like, if you were the Bills, and I was thinking about this the other day with this exact trade before it happened, but if you're the Buffalo Bills, what are you willing to give up to, and I'm not even going to say win it, if you were guaranteed to go to the Super Bowl
right.
with whatever you were, but you had to give up a first, a second, and a third or something in the future, like, you're going to do that in a heartbeat, just the chance to go to the Super Bowl. This is that kind of move. Like, what are you willing to give up to possibly put another banner in the rafters to win another title? Like, to me, I know Dietrich's doing an incredible job looking at the future as well, and what he was able to give up here really isn't that much, and I'll let you break it down in a second, but like, I'm willing to give up everything. Like, you don't know when you're going to win a title again. All these other teams are catching up, and they're catching up quick. Like, Vince, you don't know how many years he has left. This could be it. So, to me, this is nothing. Like, this is like, these picks that you're giving up is absolutely nothing to get a player like de Snoo and really push yourself to possibly be the front runner for a title. Like, I would give up this in a heartbeat, but I'll let you break it all down.
Yeah, and on top of that is when people are saying, oh, Matt Vince needs some rest and give Orelman so you know what it is of the future. That's what we've been saying for, 4 years now? Like, your future is now. Like, this is a win-now organization. Matt Vince is on this team to play all the minutes unless it's out of hand, and then you bring in Orelman. Like, having 4 goaltenders on it, I've been trying to put it out there in the universe because we weren't talking about it, and we'll get into it in a second, but for everybody that was looking at it and going, 4 goaltenders, does that mean they're going to give Matt Vince more rest? No, that's not happening. Like, what are you talking about? Like, Matt Vince is back to win a championship, and that means Matt Vince is playing every second of every game unless something happens with the score. Like, that's the only way he's coming out of net. Like, drop the silliness. Like,
right.
This is silliness that people are saying 4 goaltenders. That must mean that, no, it's not happening. Like, those 4 goaltenders, and I'm not going to get into it because we're going to get into it in a second. But for everybody else that's saying, like, you mortgaged your future, no, you didn't. Like, you gave away a pick that is coming to you for losing 2 players. You're still getting the other pick. And here's 2026 and 2027. We're not draft analysts. So, like, we don't go into that detail. We leave it to the people that do it and love it. But 2026 and 2027 are supposed to be stacked draft classes. So even if you're on top of the world, you want picks in that so you can get great players. Buffalo didn't mortgage that. Like, relax, guys. Steve Dietrich pretty much has been playing 4 steps ahead for these moments. They still have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds in the stacked 2026 draft. So don't even say, like, he's mortgaged the future. He didn't. They still have their own first. They have the lower of the compensation picks for losing Kluch and Frazier. So the two that they get, whichever the lower, they have it. They have their own second, and Calgary's going to stink this year. They have their own second-round pick that they got via San Diego from the Marquez White deal, who is on their practice squad. They also have a second-round pick in, I believe it was 2028 as well. That was the pick that they sent away in the Marquez deal. Like, they got the second in 2028. They sent that away to get Mitch de Snoo. So they're not even sending their own picks away. Like, that's what... Chugger is absolutely the man. It's insane. And this is not biased. If we were a different podcast covering a different team, this would be the GM I would want for my organization because he's playing 10 steps ahead of every other GM in the world. It's insane the moves he's made, and you still have 2 first-round picks coming to you in a stack draft and 1 early pick in the second round. Like, you still have, if somebody gets hurt this season, you still have plenty of trade assets to move out to replace that injured player. If nobody gets hurt and you make it to another championship and you win it, that's 4 straight, and you still got set up for the future. Like, he's playing best of both worlds here, and most GMs in all sports can't do that. They can't, play for the now and look towards the future. He's doing both flawlessly. And again, I'm not being a biased hat, even though I got the Bandits jersey on. I'm trying to, if you've listened to the show anywhere between, when we started till now, I try to do my best to take off any bias that I have. And I feel like I do a good job, at least an adequate job. But it's just insane not to look at what he's done with this trade and what he still has for the future and not just go, how does anybody pick up the phone? But I guess to transition to what the team looks like now, along with what this trade means. When the roster got released, it was rumored early on before it even got released that Ryan Benesh was getting cut. And I'm going back and forth this doesn't make any sense. Even if he gets cut, how does this transition? And then we were learning more and more. People were filling the DMs on exactly what the reasons behind this might be.
And again, this goes back to Chugger being amazing.
Yeah, and it goes back to also the new CBA, where if you cut a player in training camp leading up to, and training camp goes all the way apparently to Monday at 12 o'clock, when rosters are officially due, other teams get 24 hours to sign those players. You can't just re-up them. So what Chugger did, the 2 goaltenders that probably would have been signed by any other team would have been picked up. So what he did was kind of what Buffalo Bills did with Reed Ferguson. Hey, Ryan Benesh, I don't want to lose these 2 goalkeepers. Can we cut you, and then we're just going to sign you right back? Because if you go to the roster now, and it's not on NL transactions yet, Ryan Benesh is on the active roster, and Shagnash is down at the practice squad. So everybody that was freaking out, just relax. There was 0.0 chance Ryan Benesh was not playing on this team in one way or the other for this season. It just wasn't going to happen. It just
made
wasn't.
No sense.
But right now, they still have an overflux of forwards right now. And I still think what's going to happen is Evan C., who's currently on their roster as an active player, but they have 22 players now. With Mitch de Snoo getting traded, I would officially expect that Evan C. is going to get released and put down to the practice squad. Then you're going to have 2 of your future pipeline goaltenders on your practice squad for the entire season. Don't touch them. Don't need them. Then you're back down to 2 goaltenders, guys. Why was everybody freaking out by saying, oh, Matt Vince is going to have some time off now with 4 goaltenders? You look foolish. You look foolish that you don't know exactly all the inner workings on what's going on. You kind of look like our early days of where we didn't know what the heck
But that's
was
why
going
we're
on.
here. That's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're here. Listen to the show. But I still think there is some type of move going on, or one of these forwards is going to be playing the back end, because you can't go in with 5 righties and 4 lefties on the active roster, because that would mean you're going in with 8 forwards in one game. Because again, with the injuries to Coltrane Tyson, Kyle Matisse, and Matt Spanger all in the IR, they're missing game 1 regardless. That's happening. And with Evan C. going down to the practice squad to make room with Mitch de Snoo, something else is going to happen. Maybe there's another injury that we don't know about or something, but right now, all the defenders and transition players are going to have to be active for game 1, because there's no way that you're going into game one having 8 forwards, or 9 forwards. Like that's too many forwards they have right now. So I think they have a surplus of righties and lefties that something needs to get cleared out there. Like maybe somebody's going to go play transition, but it's going to be something that we got to keep an eye on for game one, because now with the moves of the 2 goaltenders going down and Mitch de Snoo getting added and Ryan Benesh going back to the active, there's an influx of forwards now. So we're going to have to figure out what they're going to do.
And when those IR players have the opportunity to come back, like Matisse is
we're
going to be in
back
the
to the
lineup
roster crunch that we've been talking about for years.
And a scary one at this point, because I think that, like, right now there's really no one on the team you want to lose, whether it's for the future or the now. So when these IR players start coming back and they want them in the lineup, you're going to have a scary roster crunch real quick. Carter Coffey, though, I mean, not to really throw a ton at that, but someone that we didn't really talk much of. And I mean, due to the roster crunch that they always have, it's a player that you didn't expect to really make it or have too much of a shot, but just want to throw a little congratulations to him. I mean, clearly they saw something in him that he was worthy to be on the team, and we'll see what he does. I don't think he'll get into much game action this year, depending on injuries, but still cool little story, and congrats to him.
Third rounder making the team
third
is
rounder,
very
that's
impressive.
big. Yeah, so Carter Coffey, we'll see what you got, but congrats to being added. That's big for you.
Yeah, so currently the roster stands, like we said, with 9 forwards. You got 4 transition players, including Connor Farrell there, and then you got 6 defensive players. So we're going to see what this game one active roster looks like. If you go in with 8 active forwards, you have to assume one of them's playing more transition role. Maybe with the injuries with Tyson, who was playing more of a transition role later in preseason, Kyle Matisse, who's a transition player, Matt Spanger, who's still coming back from the injury. Maybe we really do see more Ian McKay on the back end to start the season, and you get Scanlon and Benesh out the front door. Like, that would be my only assumption is my guess. Don't know any inside information right now. My guess is your righties are going to look like you're going to go righty strong with the Hoka. You're going to go Kyle Buchanan, Dane Smith, and one of Nielsen or Triolo, whichever one wins that battle right there. And then your lefties, my best guess right now, just based on what I'm seeing in front of me, it's going to be Josh Byrne, Ryan Benesh, and Clay Scanlon, with Ian McKay playing a few shifts up there, stay and play when he needs to, but more on the back end. That's my best guess on what it's going to look like at least game one until guys start getting healthy. And then McKay's going to go back up the front. It's going to be a battle between Ryan Benesh and Scanlon, who wins that other third job over there. And then you're going to probably have to sit 2 forwards the rest of the season, is my best guess, unless there's another move coming before. And with our luck recording this early, there's probably going to be another move. But that's pretty much all I got for the
I mean, something we haven't really talked much about. Obviously, Benesh is the player you want up there, but if Scanlon, if Scanlon makes some noise and you find a way to split shift Ian McKay more often and get him more back to a transition role, not eliminating his offense by any means, but having him a little bit more on defense, a little bit more on offense as a true rotational guy, if Scanlon really does prove to be that he can be a standout left forward to be up there consistently, and you're able to throw McKay back there with de Snoo, with all the other defenders, and have him run a true transition, that's extra scary.
That's going to be one of the most dangerous transition games, especially if, like, when Pat Gregoire was talking, he thinks that Dylan Robinson could take that next step. If you got Robinson, and then you got Mitch de Snoo, who you just added, and Ian McKay plays more transition role, even though I'm not expecting that to happen all season long. I think that's just going to be a temporary one, at least in game one. And then you got Nick Weiss as well. This is going to be
just
one
to
of
have
the more
that option. Even
what we've been
in the
asking for, Phil.
Right. A dangerous transition. Give it to us.
But I guess the one other thing that I did, sorry, my voice is cracking there. The only other thing I didn't mention, and we're almost halfway and we still got the preview, is penalty kill. You've been known for the last few years, you've been seeing Dawson and Wires on the low end, and then you got Priolo and Weiss at the top end. Mitch de Snoo had been playing the top side with Toronto. Do you get more of a rotation there? Is he just inserted and you either get, Steve Perillo limit his minutes there, even though you want him on the penalty kill? It's going to be very interesting to see, is it more of a rotation or is it going to be the same 4 guys? Because I see benefits to both. There's less mileage on guys that are playing special teams as well, or there's more value to having the same core 4 out there every single shift by knowing, okay, if he does this, I know he's going to do that. But you can also blend in the guys where, okay, now I got Weiss out there. I know Weiss normally does this, but when Mitch de Snoo's out here, he does that. So I expect more of a rotation rather than just the same 4 guys just for the mileage, because it's another year older for these guys. And not saying that they're going to be affected by it, but if you can take any less shifts during the regular season and save them for the playoffs, I think that'll benefit them. So I think that's another added benefit of bringing in a Mitch de Snoo, is he can take some of that roles from Steve Perillo and Nick Weiss up top, which you're moving a lot more. The back end, you're not moving much, but you're eating the shots. But
I was going to say, like, I do think it could also be team dependent. If you have a Oshawa who is very fast and young and their offense likes to zip it around, like maybe you see a de Snoo and Weiss up top because they're a little more quick and aggressive. But if you have a team that's a little slower and more methodical on their power play, maybe you see a Priolo back out there just picking off passes, staying a little bit more stationary, but still doing a really good job getting in those lanes. But if you have someone who's zipping it around or likes to move a lot, maybe you get de Snoo and Weiss out there a little quicker and just more aggressive than a Priolo would be at this point. So I mean, more than anything, like you just said, it gives them rotation, it gives them options, and options are exactly what you want.
It's just fun being the BSC because it's finally interesting things to talk about, not just the same players and winning championships and over and over and over.
So boring.
So boring. Make it interesting for us so we can content create.
Finally, some new players.
Yeah, come on, guys. What do you?
Some new
it's
players
like you've won 3 straight championships or something. You don't need to make any changes. Let's dive into our first and only sponsor of this episode, Tap That Tap Room.
Tap That Tap Room is at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. You're going to want to know where they are for what PK has coming up. They are Buffalo's first women-owned self-pour bar, featuring 30 consistently rotating taps, offering a wide variety of beers, sours, cider, seltzers, and malt beverages.
Yeah, if you can't tell, we've been reading these ads for a while because we're pretty stinking good at it. 5 to 7, Friday is happy hour. Then 7 to 12 is DJ Nightlight. Make sure you follow their social media sites because they give you a little bit of a hint what type of music is coming up that night. But if you can't make it to the banner raising ceremony, Tap That Tap Room is the place to be. People constantly ask in the Bandits chats where to go to watch these games, and we are always the first ones to say the best place to watch it is Tap That Tap Room because there's no other place that I know of besides the arena that when you go there, you know the reason that you're there. It's not just going to be the average person that's coming to watch a baseball game. I know it's snowing out. That was a bad example. It's not just people that are going there to, have the karaoke that night. You're there to watch the Buffalo Bandits games. The games are on all the TVs. The sound is on, but people always laugh, but it's the perfect volume where it's not blaring. You can hear the game and still have conversations with the person next to you. It's like you're in a giant living room with all of Banditland. It's a fun time. If you also want to go there, they're having a giveaway at halftime. So you could be going home with free merch. It's the place to be. Tap That Tap Room is by far the best atmosphere if you're not at the arena. Head down there. We're going to keep plugging it. We're going to keep getting it until they are packed to the brims and they have to turn people away and make them watch from outside on the patio. That's the only way to get in. But if you got any other interesting factoids or interesting events that you want to partake in that Tap That Tap Room might be offering, go to their social media sites, especially Facebook. They post them all over. They got a ton of events coming up. And to find out what's on tap and what's on deck, check out tapthattaproom.com. Phil, I got to dust off the old preview cap here. We haven't done this in a while, since last May. But Bandits v. Swarm, Saturday. See, I'm dusting it off. Saturday at 7:30. What's weird is Buffalo's last regular season opponent was Georgia. Their first regular season opponent this year is Georgia, but it's a little bit different because Buffalo could give 2 farts about that game.
And they gave 2 farts.
Yeah, they had locked up the number 1 seed last year. So it was like, I look back at that game, and we'll get into it in a second, but I always like and dislike the first preview because you don't have any real material and facts to back it up. So we use last year's. Georgia was 9-9, 7 seed, 11.89 goals for, which was 6, 12.06 goals against, which was 12th. They were 42% on the power play, tied for 11th, and 52% on the penalty kill, which was 9th. So your Buffalo Bandits were 13-5, number 1 seed, obviously went on to win their 3rd straight title. 13.45 goals for, which led the league, 10.83 goals against, which was 3rd. They were also 42% on the power play, tied for 11th, but they were 57% on the penalty kill, which was 6th. Last year, now we just mentioned it, game 18, Bandits did not matter what the result was, and it kind of showed because Georgia won 14-11, and Georgia scored the final 6 goals. They shut out Bandit in the 4th, and they scored the final 8 of 9. Obviously, Georgia needed to win that game to get in. Buffalo did not, and you see it. It was tied at 11 going into the 4th, and Georgia took it away with the final 3. Georgia 63-45 in shots. Obviously, Buffalo won on the faceoff dot, 19-10. Buffalo was 1 for 1 on the power play. Georgia was 2 for 4. So I know you can only take so many stats away from last year, but don't take the results that we saw last year to indicate anything when one team needed to win. One team was just trying to stay healthy going into the playoffs, and that's really the end result that we got.
Yeah, I mean, you just see the end of that score, like you said, like the Bandits just kind of, not to say they gave up, but they gave up. They didn't need it. They just coasted through that 4th quarter. They were probably using it as a bit of a preseason tune-up for their playoffs, where they kind of played hard in the first half, wanted to work some things out, and then just kind of coasted that second half. But at this point, with what we're about to go over, that Georgia team is pretty much blown to shreds, and the Bandits, as we just mentioned, finally got a little bit of changeover. So it's tough because it's first game, first preview. There's not much to go on, but I would expect a pretty vastly different Georgia team out there.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking up this one guy. Okay, perfect. That does make sense to me. Last year, Lyle 2-4, 10 loose balls. Obviously, it's Lyle Thompson. You know what you're going to get. McIntosh was 1-3-4. Jackson 2-4. Cole 2 assists. Dauber 34-45 saves. We're going to talk about him a lot. And then, if you're wondering, wow, that's not very many players to mention. That's because this team no longer has Brendan Bomberry. He signed in Halifax. You got Andrew Q. He was traded from Georgia to Colorado. Miles Thompson and Jeremy Thompson are no longer on this team. Liam Burns is no longer there. Joey Capito's hurt, so maybe down the line he might sign in Georgia, but currently he's hurt from his summer season. And John Rannigan retired. This team is vastly different, and when we had Nick Kloss on, we talked about that as well. When we had Steve Bermel on, we talked about how Georgia looks completely different. Their forwards, very, very young. You got Nolan Byrne, who was the 8th overall pick this last draft, number 18. These are the lefties, I should say. Brian Cole, number 55, veteran presence up there. Richie Connell, 56th overall pick in 2023, he's number 23. Shane Jackson, number 32. You know what you're going to get from him. Listen to a little bit more. If you listen to the Nick Kloss interview, you realize, and I feel a little bit bad about this because I was hammering Shane Jackson earlier last year. He was very hurt going into last year, and then when he finally got healthy, you saw the explosion come on.
Yeah,
Zach Miller missed all last year. Torrin Eccleston right now is still on the IR, so he will not be playing game 1. Then you're looking at the righties. Caleb Benedict, number 19, only played in 8 games last year. Carter Page missed all last year, 23rd overall pick in 2024. Lyle Thompson's there. Connor Kelly's not going to be playing this one because he's on the holdout. Who knows if he's going to play at all this year. And then Jake Taylor, 31st overall pick in 2023, didn't play all last year. On the IR, he's not playing this one. So when you're looking at this, it's a very, very young core. I asked Nick Kloss, I was like, who's going to be playing on this right side? And he thinks Benedict's going to step up. I mean, you got Jackson and Cole on the left. You got Lyle on the right. I guess my main question is, what do you think this defense is going to do? Do they shadow Lyle Thompson and just say, somebody else on that side's got to beat me? Or do you think they play it straight across and just go like, okay, maybe it's not going to be Lyle this game. Maybe it's Jackson. Maybe it's Cole. Maybe it's one of these young guys that we do not have film on that steps up. Personally, I think you just double up with Lyle and just say, we're going to make your day fun. Let's see if anybody else can play.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, Jackson and Cole, obviously, they're good players. I think that they're going to be solid this year. Like you said, Jackson was injured a lot of last year, came on strong. Cole, I know they expect a pretty big season out of him as well. So I do, right. I do think there is talent on that left side for sure. I'm not saying that there isn't, but this team still runs through Lyle. It's very obvious. The only problem with doubling Lyle is he's still Lyle Thompson, and he finds magical ways to just kind of float around the field and then somehow score these ridiculous goals. So even if you double him, you're not going to shut him down completely. He's going to still do what he does best. But I think that, and I think limiting him is the way you kind of shut down this offense a little bit. The Bandits' defense is strong enough to handle the other players, so I think if you focus most of your attention on Lyle and force them to have the younger players like a Nolan Byrne and like a Benedict step up in that situation, I don't think they're really going to be able to do it. I feel bad for this young team. I think they're excited to be out there, but a sold-out banner raising for a Bandits team that is very, very seasoned and has tons of veterans. This is just not the game you want to enter. I mean, it's exciting, it's fun. I'm not saying that they're scared or anything like that, but it's going to be a tough game for rookies and younger players to step into, especially when they're being asked to step up to a whole nother level. This is not really the game you want to enter that into, so I agree with you. I think if you shut down Lyle or attempt to, I think the rest of the offense will do okay, but I think that's the way to kind of shut them down.
Yeah, and I guess the one hand that I was looking for this one player, who could be that second righty forward, you could be seeing Jordan McIntosh stay and play a lot more this season because he is the righty, because they're not super deep on the right-hand side with no Connor Kelly. I think they're really hoping Connor Kelly comes and plays because he works in Florida. It's a little bit shorter of a trip up to Georgia than it is Colorado. But right now, you're relying on Caleb Benedict, who's played 8 games last year. And he came on, and Nicholas mentioned that he came on pretty strong towards the end of the season when he was getting more responsibilities. But it's still a very young player. Carter Page, 23rd overall pick in 2024, missed all last year. He is yet to play in the NLL. He's going to be your third option over there. I think you're going to see a lot of Jordan McIntosh stay and play or take some more shifts out the front door. That would make another dangerous option that Buffalo has to watch for. And when you're looking at this defense, my one question that I didn't eliminate is, how are they going to fare without Justin Martin? The next best option to me was Mitch de Snoo. So you can't replace a Justin Martin. You can only try to limit the damage that he left with his departure and retirement. I think that helps. But I guess my main question, because we're still talking about Georgia's offense and Buffalo's defense, is how do you think their penalty kill is going to work and look with this new rule? Like, I'm sure that it's going to take some adjustments because you're not going to be able to stand in the crease. For everybody that doesn't know, that's listening to this, you can no longer just stand in the crease and block shots. You got to be outside of the goalie crease when you're trying to attempt to block a shot, and there's some leeway with the rules and discretion. But I think early on in the season, refs are going to call it to the T, so do not be standing in the goalie crease when they're shooting from up top because it's going to be a penalty. But I guess, what are your thoughts on going against a power play that struggled last year, that lost some pieces, but you're going against a penalty kill that needs to adjust to a new system based on the rules that are in place now?
We'll keep talking about it when we get into Georgia's defense as well, but to me, this is like just a golden game for the Buffalo Bandits to start their season. And I know we're taking a lot of shots at Georgia right now, but it's because they're doing what we wanted Georgia to do years ago, which is flip the roster over. They're doing everything they need to do to move forward as an organization and as a team. But now, at least early in the season, they're likely going to take a step back from what they were last year with all their losses, with all the youth they have. So to me, this is a great opportunity for the Bandits to test out their new penalty kill and really hammer home what that system might look like this year. I know they said they've been working on it a lot in preseason, and you saw a lot of the shift of what they've had to do. So it's going to be interesting to see, just does their system change at all, and they're just standing outside the crease a little bit, or do they actually flip it to a slightly different look, a slightly different variation? So I think it'll be fun to see. I think this is a really good test of it, because I'm not overly concerned about Georgia's power play that struggled last year and now is forcing a lot of younger players to step up. So I think this is a really good opportunity for the penalty kill for the Bandits to test some things out with de Snoo and Weiss on that team, who are very, very good at cause turnovers and getting in lanes. I think that addition, we'll talk about it the entire season, what de Snoo means to this team now, but those two additions are huge for what this penalty kill could look like, and his addition to the team, de Snoo's I don't know if it'll change completely what they already do, but it could change what their look is a little bit. I still think you see Wires and Dawson down low, just out a couple feet, but I mean, those couple feet are huge. I mean, you go from literally being in the crease next to Matt Vince essentially to outside. Now, there are situations we saw where Wires got caught in between not knowing what to do. So maybe because he's being forced to play out a little bit more, he ends up being a little bit more aggressive when they clamp down in those situations because he has less of a chance to block it. So maybe we see a more aggressive penalty kill from the Bandits if they get too close to that, to the crease. Maybe they step out more and they're less worried about blocking shots. But I think it'll be a good test and a good opportunity. There's a lot of things we'll see with this Bandits team that could be different this season.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think that they're going to be a little bit more aggressive than we've seen in the past because they can't just keep backing up. I think you're going to see more saves from Matt Vince because he's actually going to be able to see the shots now. That was one of the things that I brought up with Steve Bermel was, yeah, you can take this away, and if this was so easy, every team would do it. But if you're not blocking that shot, more than likely it's going in the net because Matt Vince can't see. Now Matt Vince is going to have more lanes that he's going to be able to make these saves, so you might be able to see a better Matt Vince here with less blocked shots. And
I remember that being one of the big complaints last year of the Bandits doing this in general was like you got these guys blocking, and then you got Matt Vince behind them. Like, one of the best goalies in the world, just sitting there waiting to make the actual save.
Yeah, I do agree, though. I think you're going to see a more aggressive style of penalty kill this year. You're not just going to see them sitting back. And maybe you actually see Paul Dawson getting subbed out a few times for like a Zach Belter, or maybe you get a Mitch de Snoo back there because you might want somebody more athletic on the back end than just somebody that's going to play a secondary goalie. But we'll move on to the defensive transition for Georgia right now. I mean, they're super young. I mean, if you think the top forwards were young, these guys are young. There's 5 first-round draft picks on the back end from the last 3 years. 3 guys with 0 experience in the NLL. 5 guys with less than 10 games in the NLL. It's Michael Grace. You got Jeff Henrick. You got Jordan McIntosh, who I mentioned might be playing out the front door more. Mike Manley, who we mentioned in the offseason, was somebody that might want to come to New York because that's where he works. Liam McGrath, 26th overall pick in 2023. Jeremy Phoenix, 16th overall pick this last draft. Seth Van Scheppen comes over a couple years ago, 10th overall pick in 2022. Kaysen Tarbell, 13 games played last year. Ben Trumbull, 7th overall pick this last draft. When I'm talking about Michael Grace, 3rd overall pick two drafts ago. He's a rookie. Adam Wiedemann, Alex Beans on the IR. But a guy that I didn't mention, and Nick Kloss absolutely loved him, and we're going to play a clip here in just a second. Jacob Hickey, number 6, 8th overall pick. Only played in 9 games last year, but from us to... I'll let the guy that actually watches him for a living say a little bit more.
I think I got to go with Hickey. What he was able to do end of last year, and just he popped in, and I remember he came in and just one day you're looking and there's a new number out there, and so you figure out who it is, and it's him. It's Jacob Hickey. He pops in late in the season, but you ask Eddie about him because he just popped off the floor. He was everywhere in his first couple games, and I had to ask Eddie. I'm like, all right, like tell me about him. What is bound? And he just loved him. He was going on about how good of a player he has been and just coming in and plugging in to help the team late in the year trying to make a playoff push. So he was so good to end last season just getting his first tastes of the NLL.
So that's what Nick Kloss had to say, and Eddie Camo loves him. I think he is part of this young youth movement on the back end here that we have been waiting to see, and we've been saying it. They have so many draft picks back there and so many young players and draft picks that are coming up. This defense might... I'm not saying that Josh Byrne and Dane Smith and all of them are going to struggle, but it's going to be very interesting to see how they play against a defense that has very little tape out there on these youth, and is the moment going to be too big for these young guys, or are they going to thrive under that pressure and just going, we don't give an F, let's just go out there and D up the world champ and see what we got? But I mean, Grace, Hickey, they have some pieces that if these guys pan out, this could be one of the better defensive units that we see in years to come. But like you mentioned early, getting them game 1 is kind of a benefit to Buffalo.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for them. Again, this is a situation where you're going up against a team that has had their core, finally got shaken up a little bit, but even the guys they brought in, Benny, we'll talk about in a little bit, but he was already on this team years and years and years ago. He's a seasoned veteran. Like, him coming in isn't like a random rookie having to step up for the Bandits and being thrown in. Like, if Coltrane Tyson was the one that got added to the left side, if he was ready to go and he was thrown in, like, okay, Georgia might be able to work something there, but okay, we got this, younger guy. He might struggle a little bit trying to find his chemistry within this team. You throw Benesh in there, it's going to be seamless, it's flawless. Like, he's just a veteran, he knows how to play, he's going to be in the right spot. So that doesn't really benefit a team like Georgia, who has these young guys. Like, even though the Bandits have a little bit of a difference there than they're used to, that's still a player that is going to slide in so easily. That's not really a benefit to this young team. But like you said, I mean, with no expectations and them going into this game, even the offense, like a Nolan Byrne, for example, like, you're going into this game and everyone expects the Bandits to, I mean, it's their banner raising night. They're going to cruise over this young new team. But without those expectations, those are the kind of situations you can almost thrive in, because you are going out there and just throwing it all on the line because you have nothing to lose. And it's game one, you want to win, but you're going up against a powerhouse team. You're just going to, okay, we'll just go for it. We'll just go out there, do our best and see what happens. And I think they have a decent, I know it's mainly young, but they have a decent veteran core there too, with Wiedemann, with Manley, who came over or re-signed. And then, like you said, I do think we see McIntosh in more of a Kyle Matisse style role for not Buffalo, but when he was Ottawa and he was playing a lot more offense on that right side. I think McIntosh is going to be very similar to that kind of role, a veteran on the right side offense, but might also play some defense. But I think they have a good mix of youth and veteran leadership on the back end. It's probably a little youth heavy right now going into game one, so it's going to be a little bit tough for them. But overall, again, still really like where this team's going. And like you said, with no tape, even for the offense, with not too much tape on a lot of these guys for Vince and his magical black notebook that he's got on every single player in the league, he doesn't have it for this team right now for a lot of these players. And same with the offense trying to face against the defense. They don't have a lot of it for them. But at the same time, the Bandits' offense is ridiculous, and if they have to go one-on-one against a player they've never seen, they're probably good enough to win that battle. But it could be the element of surprise that kind of helps Georgia push in this game.
Yeah, and the biggest question really for Buffalo, and we kind of went over it when we were going over the rosters, who are going to be the forwards that play in this one, and we can't really talk about it because we don't really know. But we'll move on to the goalies here. Brett Dobson, you wanted him back in 2022. I believe we said it on this podcast that you really wanted him for the heir apparent to Matt Vince, and who would have thought Matt Vince is still playing as Brett Dobson goes into year 4. But last year was definitely a down year for him. 9-8, 11.82 goals against, 76 save percentage, both below his career averages. Devlin Shanahan is his backup. But in 5 games versus Buffalo, Dobson's got a 10.5 goals against average. He is always ready to play Buffalo. You go back to our first time in the box 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago, I should say, when he shut down that offense and Georgia won 9-8. Remember, McKay was still the faceoff man. He won that last faceoff, and they gave him an opportunity, and I believe it was Nanakoke that just barely missed it. They got it from 9-7, 9-8. McKay wins that faceoff. You're thinking about the first round playoff game where Buffalo and Josh Byrne wins it in overtime. That was a 10-9 game. Dobson is always giving Buffalo issues. And besides one game where he let in 14 and got pulled, and I think Buffalo ended up with 18 goals that game, he's been on point every time he's faced Buffalo. I don't know if it's his homecoming because he played in St. Bonaventure, all the home crowd that he has here with his fans and friends and family, but Dobson is the X factor in this game. I've asked multiple people. He's the X factor in this game. And if Buffalo is to beat Georgia, they need to beat Brett Dobson. They cannot get goalied again against the Brett Dobson. Maybe now that this is game 6 versus him, they have a little bit more tape and a little bit more understanding of what he plays like. But this guy just seems, every time Buffalo comes and faces him, he steps up his game, and it's actually incredible to watch.
Yeah, he's just always locked in. I do like him a lot. Like you said, he definitely had a down year last year. We'll see if he can step it up. I think it's going to be, I mean, it's annoying to hammer home this youth issue, but it's a good issue to have for Georgia. They needed to do something. I still, again, think the organization's headed in the right direction, but having a youthful defense in front of you as a goalie is going to be a little bit trickier against a veteran offense. It's just, he hasn't played with a lot of these guys enough to know where they're going to be at what times, what they're looking for, what he's looking for. It's going to take some time throughout the season to develop that chemistry, work it all in, and then they'll have a good system probably a little bit later in the season. But this first game, the bright lights, the banner raising isn't against Dobson, but the defense in front of him might struggle a little bit, which will be a little bit tougher for Dobson. Now, he can overcome those by just locking in and being in the zone that we've seen him be. Like you said, against the Bandits, he's done really, really well in the past, but this is going to be a tricky game with such a different and younger offense or defense in front of him.
So we went over all the stats, went over the roster, the trade, every player from Georgia. Now, we're going into year 5 of these predictions. So I went, man, let's have some numbers to back up how we've been doing. As we go into year 5, we've done 1 through 4 since the COVID lockout. Phil, you've missed a total of 1 game, or we didn't start until week 5, I believe, in year 1. For some reason, we weren't predicting weeks 1 through 4.
We weren't
for
ready.
whatever
We were young.
Yeah, we were young, we were dumb, so on and so forth. But year 1, Phil, you missed week 6, and year 2, you missed week 3. So in total, you've picked the Bandits, including playoffs, 89 times. I've picked them 91. We have 2 perfect score predictions by yours truly, and you and I have guessed the exact same score only 3 times out of 91 times. I also wanted to know, okay, how good are we actually at picking these guys? Out of the 89 times, you're sitting 62 and 27 on predicting them to win correctly. You have predicted them to lose out of the 89 times just 4 times. And in those 4 times, you're 0 and 4. So stop picking them to lose because they never lose when you pick them to lose. Year 1, you went 14 and 5. Year 2, 17 and 6. Year 3, 14 and 9. And year 4, 17 and 7. So you've yet to lose 10 games in a single season. Me, on the other hand, I've struggled a little bit more. I picked them 91 times. My record is 57 and 34, picking them to win when they actually do. I've picked them to lose a whopping 18 times, Phil. And I'm 4 and 14 in those games. Now, I will say, 5 of those times when I picked them to lose, it was when I said I am picking them to lose until they actually lose, because I picked them to win that one year and they lost. So I picked them to lose and they won. And I said, okay, I'm going to keep picking them to lose, because if I pick them to lose, they're going to win. So 5 times I did that until they ended up losing. But year 1, I went 13 and 7. Year 2, 5 and 9. Year 3, 13 and 10.
15 and 9.
Thank you. 13 and 9. And then year 4, 16 and 8. So Phil, first prediction of year 5. What is your thoughts, and who's winning this game?
Well, obviously, I'm going to go with a win, because I don't ever predict them to lose. Which, we've talked about this a lot. When you predict them to win, they're pretty good at winning. So you don't lose.
That's why you got a better record than me. Yeah.
I mean, look at your score when you predict them to lose. It's not great. It's not great. Now I'm going to go a win, and I think with the youth, the banner raising, everything, I think it's going to be too much for Georgia. I'm going 12-8. Victory. I think the Bandits are just ready to go, and I think Georgia's going to struggle a little bit in this game 1 being so youthful.
I do like that score prediction. I have it 11-8 win, just because I do think Dover has their number, but I don't think that Georgia's going to have enough offensive firepower to compete. But you got 12-8, I got 11-8. And do remember, though, last time Buffalo opened a season, yes, it was on the road versus Albany when they had a youth movement in Albany. They lost 17-12.
As we've been discussing Georgia, a lot of it is similar to Albany, what I've been thinking about them with the youth, and like no one knew their system, no one knew how to predict those players. So there are a lot of parallels to what Albany was doing back then, now Oshawa.
Okay. Now it is time, everybody's favorite time, still looking for a sponsor. It's the fastest milestone minute, and I had to do a little bit extra work because Benesh has played here before and Mitch de Snoo has played here before, so I had to find their names in my Excel spreadsheet and see if they have any possible milestones. They don't, but they're back, so we'll see them moving up the leaderboard. All these possible milestones can be found on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. We post them leading up to each and every game, so if you miss one when I'm lightning quick through these, you can listen back and check there. But there's not many. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this should be extra quick. First time all year, I might be a little rusty. And away we Go. Steve Priolo is 5 penalty minutes away from tying Patrick Merrill for 8th place in NL history. He averages 2.4 a game. Token Annacocke is 2 goals away from 100 for his career. He averages 1.56 a game. Ian McKay is 3 goals away from 100 for his career. He averages 0.97 a game. Mike Triolo is 3 points away from 100 for his career. He averages 2.11 a game. Thomas Whitty is 2 loose balls away from 300 for his career. He averages 4.89 a game. And Josh Brown is 1 cause serve away from tying David Brock for 10th place in Buffalo Bandits history. He averages 0.5 a game.
It was about 23 seconds.
Boom! Killed it. But yeah, again, we'll post those because I am so quick at reading those on Blue Sky and X at Buffalo Sports Coast. So
before we take off from this one,
yeah,
I know we got the outlook in a second. Before we move away from this game, what is one big storyline you're looking for from this game? Like, if you had to pick just one interesting thing from the Bandit side or the game in general, what is one thing you're keeping your eye on for game 1 of the season?
It might be a cop-out, but
that's fair.
Who is the 4th righty forward? Is it Triolo or Nelson? And then who gets the start on the left side? Is it Benesh or Scanlon? So it's pretty much just the roster decisions on who's going to be active game 1, because I'm not saying that's an indication of what it's going to look like the rest of the season, because they have a bye next week and some of these guys might get healthy, but it is going to be very interesting. Game 1, who gets the start, to me, will be a better indication of what it would look like if there's roster constrictions, and when there is, moving forward, of who's going to get the start.
Yeah, not to keep hammering down Georgia, but this is another game that's like kind of a ramp up to the season. Again,
yeah.
This sounds so rude because this is where we were at with Albany, and then Albany beat them. So it's not a throwaway game by any means. I mean, we've seen, again, Albany was won 3 games and then came in and beat Buffalo in the first game of the season. So this is a game they need to win. It's a big game. It's not a throwaway, but this is another opportunity as kind of an extended tryout. Like, maybe they throw Nielsen in to the right side and see what he's got in this kind of game. Maybe they throw Triolo in, see if he's got chemistry with the team, and vice versa on the left side. So it is going to be very interesting to see what the roster construction is. And then at the same time, similar is going to be kind of what we were talking about a lot here, is special teams. Like, what does the power play look like and what does the penalty kill look like? So I think we're both interested in that because we haven't been able to be interested in it for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, however long that this core has been together. It's been the same every single year. And like we said, it gets really boring winning so many championships. Not as much to talk about, but now we do. We have some roster construction to talk about, some new influx of players. How exciting. Good times. So, yeah, we'll see what it looks like.
So we're going through the NLL outlook. There's only 3 other games, and next week there's only 2, and Buffalo's not included. It's a slow start to the NLL season, but we're still excited to be here because we didn't know if we would actually reach this point. Friday, the standalone game, 7:30, first game ever in Oshawa for the Oshawa Firewolves.
They started right off with that rivalry game.
Yeah, it's the Battle of Ontario between Toronto and Jamie Dowick, who hates the addition of Oshawa right across the pond, and Oshawa is actually closer to Toronto than Toronto is. But Phil, what are your initial thoughts on Toronto versus Oshawa real quick?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good one. I think most people, I don't know where the poll stood. I think you picked Toronto. I was very much leaning Toronto. I think in my official pick, I went Toronto, but in my fun pick, I went Oshawa, or vice versa. I think Toronto's going to take this one. I think it's going to be really interesting to look at what Toronto is, look at what their offense is, all the youth, everything they've done. Ton of buzz around Toronto. But Oshawa's done some really nice things as well in the offseason. They finally got Jeff Teat some help over there, so that is Ottawa in a second, not Oshawa. But we'll see what they look like. I mean, Oshawa's first home game, that's very exciting. Like we said, huge rivalry game to kick it off. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. For the polls, you took, or I should say for the pick'em, you took Oshawa, I took Toronto, and the polls at 57% voted Toronto. So people's picks is Toronto.
I'm leaning Toronto, but I wanted to go with the home team in Oshawa.
It's going to be, what does Hiltz look like? What does Kurse look like? Mark Matthews is back. We got Challen Rogers full-time on the righty forward, and then you got
Oshawa's
Nick Rose back
healthy
between
defense and Rubish.
Nick Rose is back between the pipes for Toronto, and then Oshawa pretty much running it back with the additions of Taggart Clark and no John Wagner yet. He still needs to be signed, but you got Kyle Rubish to replace him. So we're both high on Oshawa this year, but we both have Toronto bouncing back, so it's going to be an interesting game. Saturday, 7 p.m., 30 minutes before Buffalo kicks off, San Diego versus Ottawa. What are your quick reactions on that?
This is the one. We'll go back to Teat getting some help for Ottawa. My goodness,
Yep.
Oshawa and Ottawa is going to be
Oh, it's going to be bad.
brutal. I don't really know what to make of San Diego. I'm excited to see what they throw out there. I'm low on that team this year. I just don't feel great about them. I think our picks, a lot more people pick San Diego than I expected.
Yeah.
Ottawa home game. I like them. I like what they've done in the offseason. Again, getting Teed a little bit help on the offensive side, I think is going to be massive for that team. And their defenses look pretty good. Higgins, we'll see what he can do this year. But I'm excited to see Ottawa, less excited to see San Diego this year.
Yeah, we're both on Ottawa missing the playoffs, so we have them in the 9th seed, mostly because we have no idea what the future holds for Chris Irregolari in this league.
San Diego, you mean?
San Diego, yes. Where he's going to end up, how many games he can even put in until he gets hired at Firefighters. So, plus Rob Hellier goes out the door, new lefties for this team, but what does San Diego look like? And then you mentioned it, Rob Hellier for Ottawa coming in gives that right side an option with Jeff Teat. The polls, you and I both took Ottawa though, and the polls at 51% by one vote took San Diego. So they're riding San Diego.
Don't get the
We're
love.
riding Ottawa. The next game, I should say, for Buffalo, 91% picked Buffalo. So
There we
we're
go.
clean sweep across the board for Buffalo. Vancouver, I should say, Saturday at 10 p.m., so you'll be able to get home and watch at least the later half of this game. Colorado versus Vancouver. Phil, initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's all going to be about Vancouver and the buzz that they have generated and what that team looks like. I mean, if they come out and just dominate, I mean, Colorado has some good pieces for sure, but they're also doing a little bit of a youth movement this year. They're trying to flip a switch. It's honestly, I meant to bring this up earlier. We're running along, so I'll try to make it quick, but I don't really know if what the Bandits were able to do the last 5 seasons of championship runs is ever going to be able to not soon be replicated. Like, yes, Vancouver looks dominant, but so many teams are rapidly catching up and leveling the playing field across the board. We've talked about it so much this year that all the NLL teams this year seem like they can steal games at any moment. Like, there's no days off, and now there's there's some weaker teams, but they have youth and they're rebuilding properly. Like, I don't see too many teams that are at the bottom mentally, but they still have veterans that they're pushing through and trying to win with a not so great team. Like, they're either flipping the roster over, but have some talent to work with it, or they're one of the top teams that have caught up quick. So I think it's going to be really tough to have a dynasty like the Bandits were able to do the last 5 years, because so many teams have done such a good job catching up. And this is kind of where with Vancouver, like, Vancouver's obviously established, arguably the number 1 team in the league this year, but Colorado's got a lot of youth and excitement, and what they're building over there looks good. So in game 1, I think it's very similar to the Bandits in Georgia, where I think Vancouver is going to take it as the more veteran established team, but I think there's going to be some fun things to look at for Colorado throughout the season.
Yeah, Colorado's full offense looks completely different with Lee and Malcolm as the only holdovers. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it looks against Vancouver. I know they just played last weekend in the preseason, but it's a lot different when you get to the regular season. Vancouver, when we talked to Pat Gregoire, it's championship or bust for them. It's a letdown if they don't win. Let's see how they hold up to expectations. But this is going to be a very fun game. You and I clean sweeped Vancouver, and the polls also did as well. 82% goes to Vancouver. So that wraps up this episode. When we're back on Monday, we have a lacrosse game to talk about, Phil. Bandits versus Georgia. Then we touch a little bit about the Sabres, and the Bills play Pittsburgh.
And then we're right on a bye.
Yeah, then we're right back onto a bye. It's one of those times where we're going to be talking about 3 teams, but if you're just listening to this for the first time, we're a Bandits-centered show, so the majority of the show will be Buffalo Bandits.
And also, welcome.
And also welcome, like you said. We start with the Bandits on Monday. We end with the Bandits on Friday, but because this is a home opener, first game, all Bandits, all episodes. So thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Hopefully you guys had a great
Happy
Turkey
Thanksgiving.
Day. Yeah, we're going to do Thanksgiving right after this episode concludes, and we're doing that right now. Thank you to Tap That Tap Room for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky Buffalo Sports Co. Check for the milestones there. Visit our website at Buffalo Sports Collective, where Phil's article will be out on next Tuesday. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us that review on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, gobble, gobble. Bye-bye.